Support for the LuredUp podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. You could join over 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer just for you, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code BALLCHECK, Adam.
BALLCHECK.
BALLCHECK, BALLCHECK. Use that at manscaped.com. And if my math is correct, that's about 12 million balls. I think
That's a lot of balls.
The Precision Package 4.0, it comes with the Lawnmower 4.0. We both have one of those.
Yep.
Amazing. The Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance boxers, and a travel bag to hold all your goodies. So Manscaped sent over a bunch of stuff for us to try out. Last time they sent us the hardware, the trimmers, and all that good stuff, the lawnmower. This time they sent Adam and I every other product they make. They sent the entire line of products, which was amazing. So we got to try everything out. They had a lip balm. Grade A. It was a fantastic lip balm. Very good.
I have
deodorant,
not tried that
awesome.
yet, but the deodorant is amazing.
Wait, did you use like the regular deodorant or ball deodorant?
Both. The regular deodorant, it's clear, it's streak free. It smells amazing, and I'm not sweating anywhere.
I have their cologne too. Their cologne is good. It smells very manly. I'm definitely man when I wear it. But anyway, get 20% off and free shipping with the code BALLCHECK at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code BALLCHECK. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. What's going on, Pokemon Go trainers? Welcome to episode 36 of the LuredUp Creator Series, the podcast bringing your favorite content creators to talk about their work, process, and the game that brings it all together, Pokemon Go. LuredUp is part of the Pokemon Professor Network. Today is Wednesday, August 24th, 2022. I'm your host, Ken Pescatore, and this week I'm excited to welcome the Trainer Club back for his third appearance on the LuredUp podcast.
Let's go.
Billy, what's up, man? Welcome back.
What's up, Ken? How are you, man?
I'm doing good, dude. I am doing well. How is everything? How's it been? I know that you've been a world traveler for quite a bit. So what's it like with your feet underneath you for the time being?
Right now, it's great. I would have absolutely loved to be in Worlds. I was ready to keep going, to be honest with you. I was like excited about going, Worlds and hopefully, what was going to be Japan and everything, and just basically like skipping around and probably not coming home for quite a while. But, I'm grateful to be back. Like I talked about before, we basically started at Sevilla Safari Zone, and that was in mid-May. And then we ended in Seattle, which was at the end of the end of July, beginning of August. So it was like, dude, it was such a whirlwind of an event. It was amazing. And then I got to travel to a bunch of countries in Europe in between and, see a bunch of stuff. Got to go to Berlin Go Fest as well, which was fantastic. It's been amazing.
That's wild. It's always cool to not just hear about someone's travels and adventures and all that stuff, but we get the benefit as consumers of video content to see it happen on YouTube. Right. And how has that kind of connection been? Is it like an enhancer to your trip? Does it put you in content mode from the second you get off the plane? How does that work with being able to enjoy your travels, have some balance in life, and then still, do what you got to do and make content and create and edit even on the road, which is probably the worst thing ever.
Yeah. Well, for me, I'm not like a vlog based person always, right? So vlogs are kind of secondary for me. So for me to just do my regular content, it's kind of integrated into my life anyway, because, this is my full-time gig. So oftentimes I'll be in different areas or different places, and I'm always on this type of schedule to begin with. So there's nothing that's really that crazy out of proportion for me when I travel. It's just kind of part of my life. So in that regard, I'm super fortunate that I have the capability to do this. And then, you know, in order to enjoy myself on the travels, I've always just every day I have, things that I do, and I try to prep as much as possible. But, when we're on a really, really extended trip, like, 4 or 5 weeks, it just becomes part of the routine that you film every day, you get your stuff done, and then you move on, or maybe film 2 or 3 videos in one day and be able to kind of hang out. But, fortunately at this point, I'm not the editor of my content. So that really helps free me up quite a bit.
Man, that's the best.
Yeah. Seriously, there's nothing better
awesome.
than, being able to find somebody that syncs with you, and you're able to kind of like, get that done.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's amazing. That's super cool. And I think that ever since I met you, you were very process driven with your content. You were methodical with filming, and I would even see like you have like pretty significant awareness of lighting and sound and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's worth mentioning. I love this. I went to your channel, right, and I was, of course, stalking back your old videos. And I remember the
Yeah.
last time you were on, you were talking about this old skate video with
Yeah.
you in it from a long time ago. And I know that people that are connected to the skateboard culture have this really weird connection with filmmaking, because
Uh-huh.
skate videos were such an important part of like the culture.
Right.
And I know that you used to skate, and seeing you in the video, like how did that turn into making Pokemon Go content? Was it like, because I'd imagine, did you do a lot of filming when you used to skate?
Oh yeah, tons of filming. So I would say, like, just being aware of a camera is a great step. Like, if anybody wants to start doing anything with a camera, like the first thing is just like actually filming stuff and actually being comfortable, like in front of a camera, around a camera, the camera being pointed at you. So, for me, I kind of, made me more comfortable in having a camera around me, being around a camera, but I wasn't really good with the speaking aspect. And that's something that I had to watch and develop as I edited myself. And I kind of like realized, how did I want to come across in my videos, and how do I want to portray my energy? And then you kind of listen for some of the words or phrases that you hear yourself say quite often. Like if you're an ummer, or if you're like saying, oh, like a lot, or whatever that is for you, I would always listen to that, and then I become consciously aware, and I would choose that next time I do this video, I'm going to need to not say this specific phrase. Because oftentimes we find ourselves in this rut of like, I'm nervous, I keep saying the same thing over and over again. And then the editing process is the personal development process for the content. So the skateboarding really prepared me just to be very comfortable with cameras around. And then the Pokemon Go and editing part kind of put me into the next level of, how do we make ourselves into a person that can talk and, be fluid and be motivating and constantly be engaged with the camera at a different level.
No, and I think that's something that makes your content unique in that aspect. And I think it's worth kind of like peeling back the onion here a little bit, because on past episodes we've talked about your background with your education and what you used to study with sports medicine and things like that, and how that kind of turned into some public speaking stuff. And I could definitely see that you have a background in public speaking, or speaking in front of an audience, or even a camera,
Mm-hmm.
just in the way that you interact with your camera when you have a static camera and you're recording in front of that static camera.
Yeah.
And how is that background kind of tied into your process now? I mean, because I'd imagine that public speaking thing helped you go from the kid skating that just needed to skate and not talk to the camera, to literally eye to eye with the camera on
Right.
a static frame speaking. So what was that kind of progression like through your education and that whole process?
For that process, it was more of getting comfortable in front of people, I would say. And I didn't film myself very often when I would speak. So I didn't really get as much as I got out of this. Because when I first, like, you can go back and watch some of my first videos, or even the first video that I ever filmed, which is, in my opinion, a little bit embarrassing, but I'm not going to take it down because everybody starts somewhere. So just watching yourself back is so important. But the speaking kind of made me more comfortable. Even sometimes, like if we're at a Go Fest or there's a lot of people around, like I still have that feeling of oh man, I don't want to do this right now. Like I feel a little anxious and it's kind of nerve wracking, but I know that as soon as I take that first step and I get just beyond my own thought process, I can get into the action of doing what I want to do. So, there's a lot of things that kind of go into it more. It's literally just doing and not listening to yourself and any of those disbeliefs or doubts that you may have about whatever's possible for you. So anything is possible. You just have to step beyond your mind and what it's trying to hold you back from doing, because minds like to be comfortable in where they're at and what they know. And when you start stepping out of the things that you know and you're comfortable with, you kind of, your mind wants to be like this mom that just protects you from, being hurt or let down or whatever that is. But the more you keep on doing that and stepping out of your comfort zone, the more comfortable you're being with being uncomfortable. And I think that's really important for going after anything that you just don't know, how it's going to happen or what's going to come of it.
That's like such a phenomenal way and an eloquent way to kind of break that down. And I think that, yeah, it's almost like, doing these things physically, right? Like actually not doing the action.
Right.
It's ultimately rewiring things inside, you know what I mean? Where it becomes more of a practice, and, then that becomes your nature, right? Your second
Oh
nature
yeah.
of just, that process of, but it's like, it's cool because the way you have this just natural way to inspire and motivate when you talk, the connection between putting that philosophy and that delivery behind like informative and instructive Pokemon Go videos is like a powerful combo, because anyone can tell you how to do something, right? You could learn how to do something by reading text. It doesn't need to be spoken to you. But when you communicate it a certain way, like you can make the person not only feel like they're educated, but they want to put it into practice immediately. And I
Right.
think that's where your type of content, like you're talking to me now, it's like, dude, I want to put my shoes on and just like get outside and do something, like get out of here. Like, and so how is that, like that connection between just your just natural mindset of your life philosophy tie into Pokemon Go, tie into content? Because I think that's kind of like the secret sauce that you've developed, is being able to combine this informational, motivational, um, slash having that production value that's important to kind of be competitive in the space, and put it all together. Like, how's that connection been between taking that philosophy and and the content and mashing it together?
I say the philosophy for me is just always doing what you want to do, right? Because in society, it's constantly bombarded at us that we have to follow a certain path or whatever that path may be. And I feel like, whenever I've felt like I've been successful, it's always been when I'm doing something that, a lot of people don't believe in, or, it's not a thing, or, Pokemon Go is not a thing anymore. You should just do Harry Potter, whatever those, limiting beliefs that people have that you might have for yourself. It's really important to step beyond that. And with all the things that you talked about with the nutrition and motivating people, like some of these things, like if I'm talking to somebody about their nutrition and how they should eat better, if you don't deliver that in such a enthusiastic and motivating way that's going to inspire people to move, that information that they may receive may not be received well by that person, right? So the same thing goes for Pokemon Go, and especially because Pokemon Go at face value is very just casual, but under the surface there's a lot of very more hardcore, I guess you would call it, strategies that could help you get more out of the game. So the way I kind of go about the content, and from what I've seen, is that even if you aren't a hardcore player, at least I can teach you strategies and motivate you to play. And when you do play, that you won't waste any of your time. Like, let's say that you're just a casual player and you play for an hour, and that's kind of how I always thought about it. Well, you can do an hour of casual playing that's not going to be good, or let's say, a little bit subpar if you were to look at it from a lens of like an efficient player, in comparison to like, I give you as much as I can, and I, give you all of my secrets and everything I've noticed or, observed or found out from people or whatever it is along the way, and gathered it, and I deliver it to you. That hour could be so much more impactful, enjoyable, and fun for you, instead of, that 1 hour where it's just like, oh yeah, we went around, we, straight ball through at a couple Weedles. It was a really good
Yeah,
time. It
yeah.
was like, well, actually, we did 10 raids and, whatever it is.
No, I think that's important too, because part of the enjoyment of this game is the way you get to experience it after you're done playing, right? You're out playing an event, you catch 10,000 Pokemon, you got all this stuff, your inventory's full, and it's like the
Yep.
event's over, you say goodbye, you go home, but you still have all that stuff. And it's
Right.
like, it's always funny where we'll do like screenshots of like the scene in caught for before a community day, and like you get a real indication of how people play this game at the end when they're it's like I saw 800, I caught 700 of them, and it's like someone's like I saw 140 of them. It's like,
yeah, oh for sure,
we were together. It's like we didn't even know. And it's like,
especially the people that
thing.
were, it's like, I understand if you go like an hour without a shiny on com day, but if you're going the entire com day and you don't get a shiny, like there's something wrong with your strategy. Like I just don't physically believe that somebody could go the entire com day catching at an efficient strategy and not get a shiny. Or like it just isn't impossible. There's no way.
That's so funny. That's so great. But all right, couple more life questions. I love
Sure.
digging into this stuff with you because you always have these amazingly developed answers. Content aside, right? Content aside, how has Pokemon Go impacted your life, and not just Pokemon Go as a game, but kind of the core tenets of this game, right? With exercise, exploration, social interaction. These are like the tenets. And
Sure.
working in the same space as you, what I think is interesting about your perspective on the game is when you talk about different topics, you tie them back to these tenets a lot because at its core, this is the goal of the game. So how can this game be played in an efficient way while supporting these goals? And
right.
taking the content away, you're a player of this game. You're just a person that likes to play. How has this game impacted your life on a daily basis? Like, because I know it definitely has a strong impact because it's so intertwined in our daily, just whatever we do, we wake up, it's part of our routine. So how has this game kind of impacted your life, and how do you maintain the balances of being healthy mentally, being healthy physically, like you said, with the right nutrition? Cooking channel needs to come back.
I know,
but it's
coming back next week.
But
delicious and nutritious if you want to see it.
Hell yeah, I'll link in the description. But how is it really kind of how is it impacted you as a person and as a player, content aside?
Yeah, Pokemon Go, I have an addictive personality. Like I have an obsessive personality. It's always been something that I've known, even back into high school, when you dabble with things that may not be legal. I always had a limit for myself of what I would allow myself to do because I understood how obsessive I could be, right? So I always had this limiting thing. And so for Pokemon Go, I almost didn't play it at first because I knew that it was something that I could get massively obsessed with. And lo and behold, I did get massively obsessed with. But for me, it kind of broke me out of and into the ability to connect with people, random people, talk to random people, just go up to, because like, when you're a Pokemon Go player and you're at a new spot, back in the day when there was a lot more people out raiding, there's groups. So you just end up getting to know people, you have to coordinate. And, naturally with me being more obsessed with the game, I just had more understanding with how it works. So I had to, coach people and help people. I would catch people's raid bosses. And that's kind of how I got started with my channel. Just thinking of like, oh, well, if all these people find so much value in me catching their raid bosses, why can't I just teach them what I do to catch the raid bosses before, Niantic changed every raid boss to be the same thing. And now it's like, brainless to catch these Pokemon, which is kind of disappointing to me because I do like a challenge. And RIP to those excellent throw tutorials. However, the next level is the exploration for me, which is really what kind of drew me in to the game. And it's just like, without Pokemon Go, I would have not discovered so many things, like so many park areas, different places that you see in the game. Like you could see it on a map and you're just like, oh, it's just a green space. But in Pokemon Go, and you're like, whoa, there's like 10 Pokestops and 3 gyms at this park. That's literally just two streets over. I'm gonna go and check that out. Or I happen to be going down this street and see this cool mural. It's like all these things that always happen to me is kind of like the gems that I was like, every time I'm somewhere, I just like sit back. I'm like, I would never be in this place if it wasn't for Pokemon.
That's
Like
awesome.
there is no way I would be here. And that kind of like little gem, in the rough of me discovering new things that I would have never discovered really like does it for me. And it's cool because then it makes you feel like you don't know what's out there. And Pokemon Go has kind of done that for me. And it is a big part of your life. And, to be quite honest with you, if you're feeling burnt out of the game, like I don't want this game to be a burden for anybody or myself, especially. So, after GoFest, commonly, like I just might run a couple dailies. I might even skip sending gifts for a couple days. Like, just what it is, just to make sure that like I don't start getting resentful towards something that I like because I need to do it every day. Like, of course, I want to go out and spin a stop and catch a Pokemon and maybe do a raid. But beyond that, when it's like really heavy Pokemon Go, like, Berlin or Seattle, where it's like, so much effort was expelled towards Pokemon, then I just roll it back. And, I say that commonly throughout my content, that it's like, make sure to treat yourself well first, because Pokemon Go will always be here. The raid bosses are always going to come back. The shinies are always going to come back. They're going to be prevalent. They're going to have a calm day. Like, chill. Like, it's all good.
You're like the warning when you play Wii tennis for too long, and it's like, hey, take a break.
Yeah,
have a sip of water.
Exactly. Like, it's okay.
Why don't you stretch real quick?
Exactly. It's okay. It's going to come back. It's cyclical. It's always been like that. We've always seen everything come back, except, like, I don't know. They're like, what hasn't come back? Armored Mewtwo, but, eventually I'm sure that'll come back too. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's what I'm terrible at this game. It's like, I want it immediately, but not just because I want the satisfaction of having it and showing it off. I just want to stop worrying about not having it. And that's like, that's the weird problem.
That's the mastery.
It's like, I just want to get, I know, because it's like, well, that's like when GoFest starts and or an event like Kanto Tour or something, and your Today view is just stacked with all this stuff to do, and you get that immediate pit, like, oh my God, I got so much to do. Like, you have that super high anxiety moment of just like being so immersed in the game where it's just like you're kind of like in this primitive state of just like, I gotta catch everything.
For me, like, what happened is like being in a content creation standpoint and seeing how many notifications that start coming through. I used to be somebody like that, and Pokemon Go in this, realm of me content creating totally shattered that. There's like no way you can and physically pay attention to every notification that comes through. So once I realized that me paying attention to all of them is a fallacy of my life, then everything else is kind of like chilled out. Like I don't even care about evolving for my Pokédex anymore. Like it's not, I'll get there when I get there. Unless it's something that's like a really big part of the content, then obviously I'm going to go for that. But if it's not, like, I'm okay with leaving notifications unturned. I will get around to it. I'm obviously not going to leave that for like an event that's important where there's research and it's timed. But I don't, and even oftentimes, like most of the time I don't get the event shiny. Like I didn't get Venipede. But I know eventually I'm going to be at a Go Fest. And the other thing that I kind of changed my mindset in that is, even if I don't get it, which I try to tell people, it's like, I can't wait to see when I get it. Like, cause that's more exciting. The journey of you getting that, as opposed to you just like killing yourself and either getting it or getting disappointed. Right. So, even I always try to go forward with, if I don't get it, how much effort would I be content that I put in towards it? Right. Like I kind of reverse what I'm going to do if I didn't get it, and how I'll feel about that then if I put all that effort in now.
It's so funny because I have the exact opposite mentality, and it's like, and Adam is like you. Adam's just like, I'll evolve it. Like I remember one time we all like piled on top of him because he had like this was like maybe a year ago, but he still had like 40 unevolved Kanto Pokemon. He's just like,
God. Okay, well that's
he's like, I'm just waiting for the perfect moment. And it's just like, it'll happen.
The perfect moment
happens.
Is going to be like a 3 times evolution XP event, right? And everybody's going to be like, dang, look at this! I can't believe I evolved. And he's going to be like, I'm a genius.
We were all on a Zoom call. We're like, share your screen, do it now. We made him evolve everything. It was so funny.
That's so funny.
Yeah, that's the big lie with this game. Everything's coming back around. Like, you can chill. It's like it's all coming back around. There's really been, outside of some costume stuff, Thunderbolt hat, everything is like coming back. So it's
Right,
like
right.
you will get it, and it doesn't matter. It's like we're coming out with merch that say like IVs don't matter. Like,
Yeah,
like just play. Like it'll come back, or it'll come back around. So I think that's a fun lesson.
it's true. It's true. Even in life, stuff comes back around.
And again, you kind of have this ability to put a message to everything, and it's like I think that's super cool with your content. Again, we're talking about Pokemon Go, right? So how does that turn into something that can be impactful? Is there like a consistent thought or a consistent message that you like to achieve or get across when you make your content? Because they kind of have this, from the way you've developed your intro to how the video comes in to how you deliver the information and wrap things up, you
Hmm.
have this really nice package of kind of buttoning up something specific into like
Hmm.
this, presentation and the delivering of the message, and here's your takeaway. What is that like from a content creation perspective, and how much thought do you put into like getting some kind of message across that's layered and woven into the Pokemon Go content?
Yeah, I always, my end goal is to leave people excited, to leave people motivated, even if it's not Pokemon Go that they're going to play, and then to let them have the feeling of, that they matter, or that they're important. So, if I can achieve that in everything I do and make people, happy. I mean, at the end of the day, what's the end goal of anything that we do is we're searching for, probably some form of happiness, whatever that is. So I try to, leave people in a place where they're, if they're more understanding of the game, they're happier, right? If they're, more motivated about playing and they weren't, then they're happier. If they just, get a good kick in the morning because some of the things that I do are kind of dumb, then cool, they're happier. So at the end of the day, it's just, trying to inspire people just to have more fun, be more present, be more purposeful in everything that they do. And I hope that, when I'm specific about things and I tell you how to do things, that when you receive that and you're able to implement that and see how it makes your gameplay more efficient or your life more efficient, because I feel like a lot of the things that you learn in Pokemon Go, like patience pays off, don't kill yourself for a shiny object in real life that doesn't really actually matter, then there are life lessons beyond Pokemon Go. And I've kind of like noticed that in, the shinies in Pokemon Go, or the shiny objects in life, like that brand new car that you're trying to stretch for and kill yourself for, when it's like, if you just chilled and find the strategy for it, eventually you'll get there.
Yeah, I think that when you have a passionate subject, right, especially a game that's
Mhm.
interactive, and then you have the fact that this is a real world game, an AR based and geography based game, so the immersion is there, and the way that this isn't just like, all right, we're going to play poker tonight. You could play poker every day, but
Right.
there's you're still only playing at night. Even when I'm not physically playing Pokemon Go, I still feel the connection to the game,
Hmm.
even when the game's not, I don't have screen time on the game.
Right.
It's
Right.
a very unique scenario. So
Very unique.
how can if it's that ingrained in my day, if it's that ingrained in my process, yeah, pretty much everything I do has some kind of connection to it. So being able to draw out these parallels, I think
Hmm.
is super exciting and super
For
intriguing,
sure.
because yeah, what can I, how can I take this information, or how can I take this lesson I've learned here and apply it somewhere else, because it's the
Hmm.
same thing, and
Yeah,
it's like, yeah,
totally.
we're the I've seen people spend money on dumb material crap that doesn't matter, and I've seen people spend money on Pokemon cards that are shiny cardboard, and then
Yeah,
you've got spending money on raid passes to get that hundo or get that thing that they can show off, and it's like, yeah, it's all the same,
totally.
man. It's just it's all this weird flex thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's lessons in there, and I think that's kind of cool to be able to say like, well, let's just apply this, let's put this in a situation or a frame that you can kind of relate to, and that you making it relatable. I think that's the key to good
Exactly. And I think
a
for me,
way to
like
communicate.
the underlying purpose is like that re-engineered, the reverse engineering of where you're going is like, if I don't get what I am after, like let's take it for gambling. Like if you went to a casino, if you don't win, are you still satisfied that you spent the money that you spent? You know what I mean? If you don't get the end goal, Are you still satisfied in the process of what's going to happen? Because end goals aren't guaranteed. They're never guaranteed. The process is guaranteed that you're going to participate in some form of that. So laying out that process for you first, and then understanding, okay, if I don't achieve, especially if it's something like gambling, there's obviously different ways to do it, or raiding, or, hatching eggs. That's a form of gambling. So are you satisfied with spending $50 on raids or eggs or whatever that is, even if you don't get it? And if the answer is no, then you shouldn't be participating in it because you don't like the process.
Right. Like
straight up.
What's the
so
purpose
easy
of that point?
to be satisfied playing this game? Like, sure. Like, at the end of a Go Fest, I'm kind of bummed. Like, I didn't get the Mantine. I kind of wanted it. But then it's like, that was Berlin. First click of Go Fest Seattle, shiny Mantine. Like, that's just how it goes, dude. It's literally happens over and over again. And you never know. And that's the exciting part. That's what really ended up making Pokemon Go exciting for me, especially when it was Natu and I was like over 55 or 6,000 checks with no shiny. And like most people are like, oh, I want to quit. I didn't get, a shiny after 50 raids. And it's like, sometimes that happens. And if that's your end goal, just like, wait, save your Stardust and go like lucky trade somebody that wants to do the raids and has fun doing 50, 500 raids and getting 10 shinies.
For sure.
But
the fun's got to be in the process.
Yeah, it has to be. If you want to be successful, you have to have fun in the process. And if you don't like the process, you're doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, we'll do something different. Well, that's like, I had a segment on the main show once where it was like, why does it seem like people that hate this game are the ones that are the most engaged with it? And it's like, this doesn't make sense. It's like, if you're not enjoying yourself, do something different, do anything different, do something that is at least, emotionally neutral. Like, you don't even have to do something that makes you feel happy. Just don't do something that makes you feel bad. And it's with that being the case, is there like, I don't know what it is about this game, but just people like love being passionate about it for better or for worse. And it's like 100%. The Howard Stern thing. It's like people, average Howard Stern fan listens for an hour. The average Howard Stern hater listens for 2 hours. It's like, that's just like the way that it goes. So yeah, I feel the same way, because I've seen some people really get bent out of shape when, RNG does not go in their favor. And it's like, dude, it's RNG. Like, what did you think?
Sometimes you're going to slay the RNG, and then other times it's going to slay you. And that's just literally how it works.
I remember
just how it works.
The party hat Gengar, when that was in raids for that one like raid after day, it was like a 3-day event.
Yeah.
I had a big group for that event.
Sure.
And I got the shiny on the first 3 raids.
Nice.
And we did 3 hours worth of walkthrough raiding. Mm-hmm. And I got the shinies in the first 3. Everyone was busting my chops. And there was people that did 50, 60, 70, 80 raids that day and didn't get any shinies. And it's like, I was like slowly but surely seeing these people deteriorate over time, where like they were so defeated at the end. And it's like, I could have just traded you one 5 minutes into the event,
sure. Totally.
And it's like, I understand you want to catch it, but like, if this is the result, like, dude, like, can I get you a coffee? Like,
right. Totally. Yeah. That's how I felt funny. Like, the, Hisuian Braviary. It was like, I was coming back from camping and I did a couple raids, didn't get the shiny. We're like, I don't, it's all good. Like, I've relinquished the need to have everything, because it's crazy for me, because I'm not willing to put that much effort into something that I don't see as much, it's not paying me directly. It's not making me healthier directly. Like, it's an additive to my life. It's not like the controller of my life. And I think when you let something external of your decisions start controlling your life, that's when you are susceptible to being disappointed, because you're not owning anything anymore. You're giving all of you're putting it all away to something else. And so now this game owns my happiness, and this game owns everything of me. And so now I'm just bouncing a reflection off of what my game is doing, and that's controlling my emotions.
Oof. Yes. Like, I can absolutely see that, because people are so passionate. So it's like this game, the RNG is not a personal thing, but when it doesn't work well for you, it feels real personal. And
for sure. But you can also compare that to like sports too, right? Like, if you look at people like Michael Jordan, LeBron James, they never have always won. Sure, they have winning sprees and spurts, But if they were only determined to win, and that was all that mattered, they would have given up so long ago because the process took so long to get there. And after you lose a season that you got close, if you don't have that mindset and that relationship with yourself, then you're not coming back for that.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a tough one, man, because I've seen a lot of people get burned by this game where they get caught up in that, that kind of, it's like almost like a self-deprecating way to enjoy this game, where it's like, oh, I'm just going out today to get beat up by this game again. Here we go.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
like, and I even hear it like, people click, is this going to be shiny? Probably not. It's just like, dude, you're
like, obviously it's not going to be shiny because shiny
yeah.
odds are not high. Like, like how the fact that you think it's going to be shiny, and then you're like, the mindset of that, just you're creating that reality for yourself by thinking that and pursuing that and expecting that, instead of going out like, let's just go catch some Pokemon. Right. That's it. Like, you're just catching Pokemon. If you're shiny object hunting in any regard, it's gonna there's always massive disappointment in that.
Yeah, there's a lot of no's. I told JT Valor, I was like, that's why I love watching his content, because I love watching him suffer. Where he's just like, I was cracking up. I was just like, it's so funny to see you get so depressed. You're just like, yeah, figures. It's like, it's the funniest thing, because it's like, there's a lot of disappointment. So if you're not built to accept that, it could hurt for sure. But I guess shifting gears, I think something that's really worth talking about is how through this content that you've made, and how through your ability to really focus on the communication and the educational side of things, you've developed an exceptionally strong network and community online, through Discord, through your socials. I've seen some of the best reactions ever, seeing you at in-person events when you actually interact with your community. What has that process been like with the scaling of the channel and with the travel? Because now that you're traveling, you're just people recognizing you and associating you with these events. What's that building of a community like when you put it in a parallel against building like a content channel? Because it's not like just like you're reading books or writing books where you could just publish the book, right? There's a different part of this, and that's the like a musician, you're going on tour, you got to play, you got to perform, you got to be with your fans. So creating a content channel and an audience is one huge part of the segment, but then you also have building a community with digital people and real people. What's that process been like, and how have you been able to leverage tools like Discord to kind of make sense of a community that has scaled so quickly like yours?
Yeah, while you were talking about that, I just felt like super appreciative and just kind of emotional about, the fact that we can, that I could create such a community, because it's honestly super cool. It's a blessing. And Discord was kind of like that means, not kind of, it is the means that allowed me to kind of create this, entity where I was able to see different things work. I mean, literally the reason I started a Discord or had a Discord was because I had a few friends in Oregon that we wanted to raid together. And then I kind of understood that you can have hidden channels, and you can have, and then I kind of started seeing the masterful thing of what Discord could be. And then I had my first 3 Patreons, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. We can have these private channels that I can give people access to. And then that started growing when I started promoting it. And then eventually I had brought on a couple people. So, my Discord's fully managed right now for the community. And there's, 4 people that manage the overarching different areas of the Discord. And, the community aspect has always been massive for me, because I understood it from other games that if you don't have a community, if you don't, aren't creating that, for me, it feels just empty and hollow. And so when I do or have the opportunity to go and travel and create that kind of, enjoyment or engagement with those people, that's after we were done with the signing, at Seattle, I'm not leaving, because there's people that have come so far from so many different walks of life. Like I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to, meet or get a signature or whatever it is, a picture. So, obviously got to do the introduction, which is always a lot of fun. And then, finish off the rest of the people that didn't, or, wanted to play, or maybe their time limit. I don't know what anybody's story is. And that's another thing that, all this has taught me, that you never know what people are doing or what, it's going on in their life or whatever that is. So I've heard a lot of really cool stories from people, and how, I've helped people lose weight, or, even so far as somebody that was, told me that if I didn't have my content, that they probably would have killed themselves. So it's like, I just feel really blessed in those moments that I was able to shine some positive light on people's lives, and, motivate them to, even if it's just stay out of the darkness that it did for that time, until something can click for them at the next level. And that's why, layering all of my content with all these positive messages, I feel like can subconsciously build somebody up, even if they think they're just listening to Pokemon Go.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I think that's, from a creative standpoint, it's phenomenal. I'm very selective with the content that I consume, right? But I want the content that I consume to provide a value. I want it to be more than just, eye candy. Like, how is this content providing value? And I think that's something that your content does super well. And it provides this value that is additive to understanding the Pokemon Go, whether it be the news or a mechanic or an event, whatever it could be. There's an additional benefit, an ancillary benefit that comes with that. And
Right.
I think that's super cool. That's what's kind of helped you develop this community, because people rally behind that level of positivity, because it makes them feel good, right? It's the good vibes that it puts off. So with your strategy of kind of putting this messaging forward with your content, and you said before, like, you're not necessarily a vlogger, right? You're going to these channels, but you're creating these real kind of bookended experience videos where you're talking about a specific topic. What's it like kind of be doing all this traveling, but then creating content that has like that immediate impact, like event coverage or news, versus something that's going to be more of like an evergreen piece, like that'll be talking about strategy or team building, even something creative, but still that's not tied to a timeline per se? What's it like kind of developing those two different types of content? Because like you were saying, you're not necessarily out there just vlogging an event. You're creating these videos that can kind of be a layer to that existing event, no matter what time or what event is on.
Sure. So obviously, the game is itself in its entity. Then you want to have the evergreen content that's going to be, helping people or entertaining people or showing light towards something, whatever that is. And so, for me, obviously, I feel like, even, which is unfortunate, that if Pokemon Go or Pokemon Company or Niantic, whoever the, governing force behind maybe a poor event or a poor choice in raid boss, and people are not going to want to do it, that, at this point, I almost feel obligated that I want to help people. And so I know that sometimes there's going to be videos that are just not going to perform very well, but there's going to be, when I say perform, and I thought about the other day that, like, let's just say like a video about a counter guide where nobody wants to rate it, that gets 15,000 views or 20,000 views. And I thought about like 20,000, like, for the general thing, like, that's not a lot of views for me. But if I thought about how many people is 10,000 people, that's a ton of people. If you try, like, that's like a stadium full of people, right? Like, I'm just like, geez, like, that's crazy that, we're shooting for these massive numbers, but like in reality, like, it's still a ton of people that it's reaching. And, it's unfortunate that sometimes, and maybe 40% of the time, that some of the content is just not going to do well just because the event isn't so well. So I've understood that, and I've seen it, and starting to develop other types of evergreen content has always been important to me. But at the same time, making sure that, everybody has the information, even if it's not going to be the best information that, they want to hear.
Yeah, it's funny because one of the things that makes Pokemon unique is, like, every Pokemon is someone's favorite Pokemon, right? So
Right.
it's always funny to say, like, oh my God, we got this, Trapinch is back, yay! And it's like actually there's that like one person in the back that's like, yeah, it's Trapinch, you know.
Yeah,
and
right.
it's funny because there's always ways for people to latch on and kind of connect with something that you never really know what it is. So it's like,
right.
Yeah, you still got to be a player, right? So you still got to cover that event that might not seem so powerful or so
like,
moving on the surface. Like,
yeah, I was like, geez,
dude, I got to tell you though, these recent events have been so phenomenal. Like Galarian Zigzagoon Community Day was just so
yeah,
good.
that was a good one. Really good.
I really hope this team has done an amazing job of making these events really really good. It's like it's going to be a hard thing to sustain for sure, but it's like they're still pulling it off, which from a content creator perspective is awesome, right? We get to talk positive, we get to talk about all this cool stuff. But
I mean, it kind of seems like they're kind of getting into the strategy behind what works, you know, that they're understanding that if they're going to make Calm Day 3 hours, how do we then make it the ability to be longer, right? So you can have the bonuses during this time, which, you know, if you miss out on the bonuses, whatever, at least you still get to get the shiny, you still get to evolve it for the move. You have a grand total of 8 hours for the entire day, but it's not like insane spawns for the entire 6 hours, which then kind of burns people out towards. I mean, I was going the whole 6 hours because that's kind of like, you know, that's a short day if we're talking about a go fest, but you know, for some people that's a lot and some people can't do it. So I understand the decisions behind a lot of things, even if, you know, like sometimes it previously, like the decisions weren't backed by things that make it work, right? But it seems like they're really trying to make things work now, even when they make decisions that, you know, may not be perceived very well.
Yeah, I could tell that they take a lot into consideration now that they may have glanced over in the past. It's like, some of those decisions from like a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it's like, we could have told you exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah,
like this is not like there was a 0% chance of the community reacting differently. It's like you could have just asked. And it's like now it really seems that they're aware of that and they try to get ahead of the potential, you know, fallout that might come along with something by offering these other areas of, you know, uplifting stuff that can kind of compensate for someone not being on board with a specific feature. I think what they've done with, you know, everyone was upset about the 3 hour thing, but then it's like, okay, well, how about if we do this? And then how about if we do this? And you saw this like over 3 months, this kind of thing develop of how they've changed the entire culture of Community Day. And it's like, dude, they're the best they've ever been. I absolutely love it.
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
Now with what it is, it's the coolest
Now you just
thing.
go and pop a raid. You're like, oh, you want more spawns? Well, you know, I'm gonna go have lunch, and then in an hour we can just do a raid, and we can get more spawns. Like, they're like, okay, cool.
Yep, it's so cool, and it's like, yeah, I think they've really made some secret sauce with the Community Day for sure. It's been crazy. But getting back to the community, something I noticed, and it's interesting in the podcast space, right? Like the LuredUp, you know, community will skew older. There's the GoCast podcast, my good friends Chris and Kyle, who are phenomenal, and their podcast skews much younger. And you know, from the content creator perspective in podcasts, it's a pretty stark divide between like who's listening. You know, kids don't really listen to podcasts, and if they do, you really got to be like tailored to understand you're communicating with kids. And when I see you at these live events, the community that's surrounding you, I see an exceptionally diverse age group. I see young kids that are like super psyched to meet you. I see, you know, teenagers. I see people, you know, old farts like me. It's like the whole gamut of age ranges of people that play this game are able to connect with your content. So how does that work from a creation standpoint? Do you have awareness into that? Because it really seems that you have a big younger following that like from a passion perspective seem to like rival your adult fans. You know what I mean? So like, what's that like from a creating perspective? Do you have to have awareness into that?
You know, honestly, when it comes to younger people, I don't really have that much awareness into it. You know, honestly, when some of these kids come up to me and they're like super stoked to me and they watch my videos, I'm like, really? Like, you know, like I feel like I don't provide that type of like you know, like I'm like, you're literally listening to like all the raid tips and like you're getting the 100%. I'm like, how is this entertaining for a child? And maybe it's just because of the engagement of the content is kind of like what the only thing I've really, you know, realized as just like I'm just engaged and I'm giving out positive energy. And I think that younger kids are more attuned to that type of energy. And you know, if you've seen a little kid and they're just like so enthusiastic and so like my niece is 3 years old, she's crazy positive, crazy enthusiastic. So you know, the only thing I could really grasp to is that the content is resonating with the same energy and frequency that they have. And so that they might not be taking in what I'm actually saying, but they're just like excited to feel the vibration of what I'm putting off
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's because it's like noticeable, huh? Like, you know, to the point where it was like we were not making jokes, but we are like, yo,
Yeah.
look at this dude. These kids love this guy. Like, this is crazy. Same thing with like Zoe. Like, I look at Zoe's content
Yeah.
and I don't think like, yeah, this doesn't necessarily yell that it would speak to, you know, a 6-year-old, you know, but
Yeah.
then you go to these events and it's like all these kids are just like, oh my God, you know,
Yeah.
like losing
Right.
their minds. It's the coolest
And I
thing.
think it's more attuned to like the people and the personality and like the person. And as adults, we think it's the information and it's like the surface
Right,
level. In
right,
reality,
yep.
it's like, no, I just like this person. Like I just like to
Yeah.
watch them talk. I don't know what they're talking about and I don't care that much. Maybe I do a little bit, but I just like to watch this, you
You're
know,
just
and this,
vibing.
yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
That's super cool. That's
Yeah,
it's super interesting. But as we kind of wrap up,
sure.
I think, you know, the interesting thing to ask you is kind of what's next, because
Hmm.
if I would have asked you a year ago, like this year has just been so tremendous for you in terms of like a diversification of your content because you've been able to travel so much and
Sure.
kind of
Yeah.
had these other opportunities. So like what's kind of next on the horizon for Trainer Club? Is there something that you hope to accomplish by the end of the year? Is there looking, you know, things you're looking to do differently going into the next year? Like
Hmm.
anything fun or exciting kind of in the playbook for the next couple months?
Sure. Yeah. So for the trainer club specifically for my videos, it's just focusing a little bit more on the evergreen content. Obviously, I think that's something that I always can work on, you know, based on just, you know, being so informational, just to pursue that a little bit more. Number two, I'm in the works of really wanting to design a really efficient backpack. So I haven't really talked about that too publicly, but
Cool.
I'm in the works of that where, you know,
Yeah.
like if I don't know if you've ever had your hands on any of my gear, but you know, like that's very important for me to have really high quality stuff. And I haven't really seen a specific backpack that can hit what I want it to hit in all areas and be multifaceted. So, you know, that I actually had the call last week. So
Oh,
I'm
let's
really, really
go.
excited about that. Yeah.
Nice.
And then, you know, just a couple other projects outside of Pokemon Go. One that I'm really excited about with some other people that some of the people on here might know of. I'm not going to speak too much beyond that, but it's really I'm excited about that. And then obviously, you know, the other two things that I really want to get more consistent with is delicious and nutritious, and then my podcast as well, because I even though they're not crazy successful or whatever, it's crazy the amount of people in the last like month that have been like asking me about all my stuff, and I'm just like, you know, like I just enjoy doing that and reaching people and talking to people and, you know, sharing my experiences. So even if those things never amount to anything crazy big, I'm more than okay with the fact that like I get to have an outlet that I get to share, you know, how to be healthy, how to cook cool food that's also healthy for you, maybe check out some different international restaurants. And then also, talk about like similar things to like mindset and stuff like that that I shared on this podcast where it's like, you know, that you always can go back and reference something that, you know, might be irrelevant for that time in your life.
Yeah. I I I love that you're able to create content that's like adjacent to Pokemon Go
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
tie it back, like I said, because this is such a lifestyle thing. But I mean, I
Such.
remember watching like your cooking content and I was like, dude, I want that knife. Like that's such a nice knife. Like the
Yeah, dude.
quality and the presentation of the I was like, dude, this is really well done. And it's interesting because my son, who's 14, loves watching cooking shows. This dude has like the palate of like a 3-year-old. Like he's like chicken fingers, like, you know, that's it. But he'll watch some like cool cooking shows because the
Yeah.
people that do them uh are unique. And I think that um the perspective and the quality of the production that you had on your cooking stuff was awesome. I would look forward to it coming back. That was an entertaining ride for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Definitely dug it. Yeah,
For
sweet,
sure.
sweet. Yeah, the backpack sounds great too, man. Like I think that's kind of one of the struggles of every trainer, especially if they're like, hey, I'm going out for the day to play a Go
Right.
Fest that's going to be 8 hours and I need battery packs and wires and hydration and, all this kind of stuff. I love the combination of wearable tech and gear and utility stuff. I come from like the skate and snowboard world of textiles and stuff. So it's like, I worked in the snow industry for a while. So I was working with companies like 686 and Burton, and they had like these amazing packs that like did all this great stuff. So yeah, I'm super down to hear more about what you're doing because I love backpacks. I love utility. So that's super cool. And I think we're a demanding bunch, right? Because we have all this gear, we have all this wires, and all that stuff is really that's really cool to hear.
Totally.
If you could travel anywhere in the next year, somewhere you haven't been, where would you want to go?
I'll probably say Australia. Yeah.
Nice.
I think that that's somewhere that I haven't been, somewhere that I would like to go. I'd like to go and see. I've been to Tokyo, around Japan a little bit. Kind of got the vibe for Asian culture, which obviously, every country is going to be different, but being there and then, being in Europe a lot, you kind of understand that like this is kind of a way, even though every country is a little different, right? But at the same time, I think Australia, and I've never actually been to South America, which is kind of crazy because it's way closer than Europe in some regards. So I would say that Australia first, and then second to that would be some type of South America adventure, beyond just obviously Mexico's in North America, but more further south, just down, just experience some different types of culture.
You got to go down to Chile and see those lunatic PvP players down there, man. They're insane.
Yeah,
they're absolutely out of control
like that would
down
be
there.
Incredible.
Yeah, man, that's super cool. But yeah, man, dude, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was great. I got one more question for you, and I think it's a good one.
Let's go.
If with your content you can leave an impression on your viewers, like just someone watching one of your videos for the first time, someone watching their 1,000th video, what is that impression you want to leave on viewers? What do you hope to kind of leave them with when the video is done?
Number one, excited about life. If you can get excited about a video game, like you should be able to get excited about life because life is rich. And then I would say number two, to be motivated to do whatever I'm encouraging you to do, but then also to transition that motivation beyond that. And then I think, the final hierarchy and the most important thing for me is to deliver the fact that like you control your life, and how you place your mindset and where you place your focus is going to be the controller of how you feel, how you operate, what you're going to get from life, and that you're in control of all that based on how you formulate what you're doing with your mindset and your focus. And if you're not focused on the right things and you're looking at the wrong things, you're, kind of engaged in the chase, the shiny object syndrome that, obviously can be super relevant to Pokemon Go and super relevant to life, that, that's going to always leave you miserable because once you get that thing, there's always another thing. There's always something more. Once you get your Mercedes, there's, Bentleys, and then there's Rolls Royces, and then there's, like airplanes, and then there's yacht. Like it just never stops. It never stops. And so trying to find your focus on the things that could actually fulfill you and make you happy and content with where you're at, but still motivate you to get to the next level of you, because we're all only here for a finite amount of time in this life. So you might as well shoot for the stars because there's nothing holding you back except yourself.
Dude, so well said. Love it, man. I absolutely love it. Billy, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. Always a great conversation.
Man. I'll be back when I have that backpack in hand.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, man. We'll definitely blow that up. That's super cool. I can't wait to see that. But for everyone else, thanks so much for checking out the podcast. You can check out PokemonProfessor.com for everything we have going on the network with all of our shows. And make sure you connect with Billy. All the links will be in the description. Definitely check it out. But other than that, keep training, trainers. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.
Appreciate it, guys. Take care.